This podcast is brought to you by the all-new Leupold Mark IV HD, the first step to long-range dominance.
Hunters, farmers, sporting shooters, it's time to set your sights. It's time to unload on the podcast made for Aussie shooters with Brad.
For a lesser man, this would be a challenge.
Matt.
Quite frankly, I'm going to win this.
And Keith.
I am pretty much the rabbit-proof fence.
It's the NIOA Unloaded podcast.
Oh, yeah, it's a big show planned. Joining me as always in the NIOA gun room, give it up. A round of applause for Australia's favourite gunsmith, Mr. Keith Grundy.
Thanks, mate. Crowd's gone wild.
The crowd has gone wild. And let's not forget Australia's most popular sales manager, Mr. Brad Johnson.
Couldn't even get an extra
sound
effect for that. Anyway, but look, we're into our second show.
We made it, didn't we?
Mate, it is one of life's most unsolved mysteries. How did we get to episode 2?
I don't know. But look, welcome, team. And as I said, it's a big show planned.
Yes, Matt, you and me, we went down to New South Wales last week. Checked out a few gun stores.
Yeah, we're going to talk a little bit about that.
I think so.
Wouldn't mind having a yarn about that $50 from the Arttech Steel challenge.
Oh, actually,
that still hasn't been resolved.
I probably want to move on from that, actually. Look, Keithy, I know everyone loves you, and I know that you are Australia's favourite gunsmith, and you know everything there is to about guns. But, mate, we want to talk CDS styles. Do you reckon we could get an expert in today?
Yeah, I think I might opt out for that one. I have got a couple of guys which will definitely...
No, we'll keep you in, but we might see if we can get one of your techs up. What do you reckon?
You bet. Yeah. I'll get Lachy up.
All right. Brad, I've heard that you might have some exciting news for everybody. Look out.
Keep my powder dry.
Well, you might want to hang around to the end of the podcast to find out that news. It's going to be exciting. But until then, let's get this podcast started.
I don't know about tapping your nose and going, keep my powder dry. I don't know how that looks. Good point.
No, that's going in.
Good point.
So, Brad, we made the decision last week. We went down to New South Wales. We visited a fair few gun shops.
We did. You know, we haven't been out for a long time. You know, we've got four full-time sales reps on the road.
Yep.
And
they do a great job.
They do. They do a fantastic job, and they service all the gun stores Australia-wide. But I thought it was about time that we got out ourselves, pressed the flesh, asked the hard-hitting questions, and just did a bit of market research about what's going on out there at the moment.
And it's good to see what the market's doing because I don't know about you, but the industry is changing, and it's changing fairly quickly.
Oh, mate, it's been evolving every day since I started 27 years ago. So from where I started to where it is now is chalk and cheese. It's phenomenal.
So, Brett, you've actually been a rep for many years. How many years?
I was a rep for 12 years, but I worked in retail for 9 years before that. Worked in wholesale for the last 7, 8, 9 years, I think it is. So, look, I've seen it all, pretty much.
And Keithy, mate, you used to work in gun shops. Were you ever a rep?
I did. Yeah, I did a year of repping in Victoria and Tassie.
There you go.
Yep. Didn't really suit me. I prefer the home life and, you know, a little bit more scripted sort of job. But I did a bit of retail right in the early days, like 25 odd years ago. Did a little bit of retail, but generally I've been in the workshop pretty much most of my career as a gunsmith. Yeah.
Over those years, you guys would have seen many changes, to gun shops, but not only that, to product lines. Tell us a little bit about that.
Oh, look, the variety and the choice that consumers have these days is phenomenal. You know, when I started in retail, we had very limited amounts of everything. There was only a handful of optics in Australia. There was a handful of centerfire ammunition in Australia. Only a handful of rifles, really, too, rifle makes. And some weren't as popular as they are today. So watching everything evolve has been a good journey. But right now it's certainly a consumer's market, and there's plenty out there. There's plenty of choice for people to make now.
Yeah, which is great. And of course, with online and the whole digital and social, we're really starting to see a resurgence of people getting into shooting.
Yeah, well, that's been happening though for a lot of years. I can tell you that the demographic from 20 years ago to what it is now is vastly different. There's a lot of families. There's a lot of young people, a lot of women, which is great to see. And it's because I think we're starting to break down
just some barriers. Yeah.
That the stigma that shooting is big and macho,
some
or
old
dangerous.
guy doing some reloading on his bench, and
100%. No, the industry is as strong as it's ever been.
What about you, Keith? You would have noticed a few changes in your time.
Yeah, most definitely. Like Brad said, I think it's more the product range. You know, it's just even look around our showroom here today. We don't have what they used to be was you might get a rifle in a particular model as a timber rifle. You might have a synthetic version of that, and you might have a varmint or heavy barreled version of that. Today you see carbon barrels, tactical styles, fluted barrels, this. There's so many variants.
Proof barrels.
Different stock designs, Cerakoting options.
New technology.
And what about the vast array of calibers?
Yeah.
Back in the day, there was a handful of calibers. There was 222. There was 223, 22 to 50, 243. Yeah. Now have a look.
What about 22 Ferret?
No, we didn't sell a 22.
Okay.
There probably is one now, though.
Yeah, there is. Yeah. But have a look at all the new ones.
Yeah.
224 Valkyrie, all the PRC calibers, Creedmoor.
Yep.
Mate, WSMs, they came in about 15 years ago. They were all the rage when they arrived. 17 HMR has been a revolution, son.
Yeah, no, amazing. But look, we got around to about, I think it was 11 gun shops. We went into the city of Sydney. We went to some of the more regional areas, and we also went a little bit rural. So it was great to get a different sort of demographic. Did you notice sort of anything different across the demographics?
Yeah, look, the products that they stock, some are very heavily orientated towards firearms, others more accessory, others more optics. Each sort of store has their favourite or preferred line of products that they use. It's certainly different, but one thing is there's plenty of stock in all stores. So.
Yeah, which is great. But, reflecting on that visit, what were some key takeaways or insights about the market itself or customer preferences? Because one thing I sort of discovered, a lot was a lot of what the dealers are selling is being influenced by people out at the range and what people are seeing on social media.
Yeah, don't underestimate social media at the moment.
100%.
Social media, the broad reach it has, especially with the younger shooters, is phenomenal. So, look,
Digital Josh will know about this.
100%. We were talking about phone books before. Do you even know what a phone book is, Digital Josh?
No.
Is it the phone book on my phone? No. It's something about this big.
The Sydney phone book. Oh, jeez.
Yeah, I remember that.
Nearly as big as the Hot Products catalogue.
People use those as car seats.
Yeah, 100%. Car seats, 100%. But, the marketing, products, there's just such a variety of products. I can't reiterate that enough. It's people really, you've got to do your research and you've really got to be on top of things to make sure you choose the right product for what you're after.
What did you sort of feel was the atmosphere in some of these shops? I mean, there's Western Australia, for example. We're going to be getting over there later this year. But, just the general vibe in the industry. Is there optimism?
Look, it's still positive.
Yeah.
Don't get me wrong. It's still positive. And look, some people are a little bit confused. I think there's a bit of lack of communication happening with some jurisdictions and the deals themselves. But overall, it's a great vibe of positivity. Look, the season's kicked off a bit late this year because of extended weather. So extended, warmth in New South Wales and Victoria. It's very wet in Queensland. Guys can't get out shooting. But look,
wait till that dries up, though.
100%. And when it cools down, when it dries out, there is going to be an abundance of animals out there to go out and cull. I'm predicting a huge second half of the year.
Yeah, well, I tell you what, it really was an eye-opening experience to get out there. We got to do that more often.
Yeah, 100%. I think we're going to head to Vic next month, do Vic and jump across the
We should go and see Taz.
Yeah, jump across Bass Strait to Taz. And then we'll look into WA and possibly a quick sojourn in the SA in June, yeah.
What about NT?
Yeah, we might save that for later in the year.
Sounds good.
Yeah, goose season.
Yeah, goose season. Hey?
Correct.
Tell you what, if you haven't checked that video out, make sure you do. Make sure you check out the Magpie Geese Shoot, only on NIOA TV and only on our YouTube channel. So make sure you check that out. So, boys, the Arttech Steel Challenge, this is on NIOA TV. It's on our YouTube. You can check the video out. It's a great video. I got to say, even though I lost, I can tell you that up front, spoiler alert, I lost. Still had a great day.
Oh, mate, that was probably one of the better days filming we've had. Just to get out, we had a cracking day too,
Yeah,
wasn't it?
beautiful.
It was bright, it was warm, but we used a vast array of products.
Yep.
The Arttex, Leupold, the ammunition, AR 500 targets from Allen, flashbangs.
Yep.
We had a great day. And
I got to say too, those Arttech pumps, mate, just on that visit to New South Wales, they're on the shelves.
Oh, 100%. They're there. And we can sort of delve into the pros and cons of pump action rifles a bit after this.
Yeah, no, well, look, we use the Arttech XP Prima 308 pump. Brad, you got one there?
I have. This is the one we used in the video, the Prima XP Black Synthetic.
Awesome.
With forward assist. Unbelievable.
What do you mean forward assist?
Well, you don't have to physically move it forward. Take your hand off it.
There you go.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, forward assist.
These feed well too.
They do. Yeah, they do feed well. And Keithy, you were using the Arttech Prima straight pull.
Prima SP. Here it is here. Turkish walnut stock. Beautiful little flush fitting 4-shot magazine. Hold open on empty. It's got the fibre optic sights. Ripper of a rifle. I really do fancy this.
Yeah,
rifle.
it's a cracker, isn't it?
Yeah.
And I got to use the XP Prima, same as Brad, but I had mine in the camo.
Yeah, now the camos have got a slightly shorter barrel too. They've got a 20-inch. These are 22. Keithy, yours are 22 as well.
Well, no wonder you shot better on the video. You had a longer barrel.
Well, that's not the be-all and end-all, Matthew. You lose a bit of velocity, but it doesn't affect accuracy.
I don't know.
Believe it or not, some of the best accuracy comes out of the shorter barrel guns.
Seriously?
Yep, 100%.
Are you sure about that?
Positive.
Have you got signs?
Especially in the Arttechs.
Yeah, 100%.
Yeah.
So you actually had a leg up in front of us all.
Okay.
And still shot worse.
Right. Okay. But as you've talked about, these performed flawlessly. And just to sort of take you through the challenge on the video, Brad sort of set us a few little challenges. We had to shoot the first target at 50 metres offhand.
Yep.
Followed by 100 metres on using the, I think it was the Primos Apex.
Yep.
And then we shot out at 200 metres prone on the Allen Ruger drag bag.
That's right. Yep.
And everything was going great. Brad was absolutely annihilating the competition.
Killing us.
And, well, we just had to go out that extra one, didn't we, Keithy?
We did. I could have gone one more.
Oh.
I think 400 would have been.
I would have reveled. I would have taken 400 as well.
Yeah,
I needed a chance to redeem myself after the 300.
I don't know, mate. You lost the 300. But Keithy did get the 300. It was unbelievable, but he did have some help off the pack of Federal.
Yeah, look, I think 300's no, it's not a small shot.
No.
That's a long way.
There's a lot of gravity that takes hold of your bullet in that time. So, just looked at the back of my Federal packet of ammunition and it told me that I think I had about 18 inches of bullet drop at that distance.
Jeez.
So I had a fair idea of what sort of holdover.
See, we were on a hiding to nothing there, mate.
Yeah.
Because Keith was loading the gun for us. We never saw the packet.
No, that's true.
We never saw the packet.
Actually, the only time I saw the packet when he was presenting to camera.
Yeah,
that was
right.
it. But listen, these guns, Keithy, let's do a little bit of a deep dive, mate. Let's start with yours, the straight pull. Mate, take us through it.
Well, it's a fairly simple operation, this rifle. It's a 3-position bolt head. So it's a rotating bolt head, 6 lugs on it. So as it comes into battery, the lugs rotate, lock up that case in the chamber, and of course your extractor takes hold of the rim. This has a steel upper receiver and an alloy lower receiver, so it makes the rifle quite lightweight.
Drill and tapped?
Yeah, absolutely. They're drilled and tapped, and they're supplied with a rail as well. Nice little 4-shot flush fitting magazine. I really like that magazine. It's nice and clean, can't get snagged on anything. The release on it is not a lever at the back or front, which has a tendency to snag on things, and you donate $100 magazines to the paddock. Really, really easy takedown on this. It's like a shotgun. Simply take the fore-end nut off and you can slide the upper receiver from the lower receiver. So super user-friendly rifle, very easy to maintain and clean and look after. And I think this presents beautifully.
Quite an attractive little
It
gun,
is a good-looking
Nice
bit of kit.
wood on it too. Like it's...
And it does, it pops to your shoulder really, really nicely. I love these fibre optic sights. They just jump to your eye. So yeah, I'm quite fond of this rifle. I mean, I've shot plenty of rifles out of this showroom, but this one's sort of it's taken me by surprise. I'm super impressed.
And now we're talking about the flush fitting magazine 4-shot, which I think looks great, by the way. Like it's really, works well with the straight pull. But Brad, yours is 4-shot as well.
Yeah, 100%.
And take us through yours, mate.
Yeah, look, pump action rifles have been such a staple in the Australian market for a lot of time. Remington owned that pump action rifle market for decades with that 7600, 7615, and it's a popular rifle. Unfortunately, Remington, as we all know, went bankrupt in 2019. They've started again, new company Rem Arms, but it's the 7600's not in their
suite of
new
offerings.
Not yet. It's not in the suite offering. So there's no sign of 7600s anytime soon. So, when these became available, the first thing we thought of was there is a void in the market, the pump action market. So we got them out, we played with them, we shot them, we tested them, and we thought these are going to go all right, aren't they, Keith? So the quality, the first thing that sort of jumps out at me is the quality, the metal fit, how smooth the action is. And as Keith said, that 4-round magazine, it's just so positive. It's just so easy, to drop in and out. Now, a lot of people say to us, oh, but can you get aftermarket magazine?
Yeah, that's right.
Unfortunately, you can't with this, and I'll show you why, because where that magazine is, the fore end slides over it. Okay, so that negates anything. And
that's what was a bit different from the Remington, wasn't it?
Yeah, because Remington, let's face facts, Remington never made a factory 10-round magazine either.
Okay.
They were all aftermarket magazines. So I think you'll find, that Remington's design, when they designed it 20 years ago, it wasn't designed for extended magazines. In Australia, it became popular. A few companies decided to jump on board and make some aftermarket ones. But look, I've got a Remington 7600 myself. I've done a lot of hunting on the back of motorbikes, and I find that extended magazines, while good, can be a little bit cumbersome. They can stick into your back when you're carrying it with the sling. But if you can't hit it in the first 4 shots, I don't like your chance with the next 6.
Yeah.
So I used to carry a 4-round magazine loaded in the gun and another 4-round magazine in my pocket. And I very rarely ever got into the second magazine.
Yeah, right.
Yeah.
Well, there you go. And, of course, with the camo version, just a bit of a shorter barrel.
Yeah, 20-inch barrel and forest camo synthetic stock. They also do a blaze camo one.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, and it looks pretty good too. Some of the hound boys down in the high country in Victoria for Samba, I've imported a few of them. There's a few floating around. But, look, this is starting to get a following with people, but I can just see this being the perfect gun if you're a hound hunter in Victoria or just out the back of Burke, Western Queensland, chasing pigs on a quad bike, motorbike, or even just walking through thick bush. This is the perfect gun for you. And
they hit hard, the 308s, don't they?
Oh, yeah, it's a hell of a round.
It'll stop anything.
Yeah. And one of the things that we used on that video as well, and I just do want to mention it, was the Caldwell Flashbang.
Yeah.
An incredible little bit of product. As Keith would say, a ripper product, because it really gives you good positive information once you've hit the target. Those LEDs light up so bright, and we had a very bright day, well, some of us hit more targets than the other, but we certainly saw them light up, even at that 300 metre mark.
Well, I didn't hear much report from 300 from the actual steel plate. So, yeah, the flashbang was a game changer.
I must say.
You knew that I hit it.
A couple of shooters here that didn't hear any report from 300, but anyway.
I heard it, and my heart sank. So there you go, the Arttech Steel Challenge. These are available now. They are in your gun shop now. Make sure you get there, check them out, get them off the rack, have a feel. I think you'll be impressed.
I'm sure you will.
Righto, guys. Well, something very exciting. The 2024-2025 NIOA Hot Products catalogue is now out in gun stores. By the time you watch this, they should have arrived.
They'll be on the shelves.
And they'll be on the shelves. So please make sure you get into your local gun store, because that is only where they are available, and ask for your free copy. Don't pay for any of these copies. We've started to see them on eBay, haven't we?
We have, yeah.
Yeah. How much are they going for?
It's $20, but it's the old
$20.
It's the old economic equation: supply and demand.
Cost of living.
There hasn't been any for a while. So
look, let me just say, I just want to talk a little bit about the cost of living, right? Because people saying everything's getting expensive. Darn right, everything's getting expensive. Last night, I had to fill up with fuel, right? I've got a terrible little Ford Fiesta that gets me around, and I used to be able to fill that up for just under $50, right? $2.35 a litre.
$100.
Mate, it was about 70-something bucks.
It wasn't empty then, was it?
Unbelievable. I don't know. So anyway, look, the NIOA Hot Products catalogue is out now. It's free. That is the best. even with these cost of living prices, we've kept it free. How's that?
We have. That's right.
So, and it's 544 pages, so it's even bigger than last year, and it's still free. So make sure you get yourself a copy. Also available on YouTube, Digital Josh has been very busy. He has got all the products that we filmed at SHOT Show up on a playlist, ready to go. I think how many videos, Digital Josh? Thousands. I think there's 33. Yeah. Right, not thousands.
This younger generation can't count.
They can't count.
No.
We've got products from Springfield. We've got Corwell, Leupold, Remington.
The new Ruger Gen 2s.
All behind us. We're going to have to do something on those.
Just started.
Yeah, yes. they're arriving. CCI, Savage, and of course, Spartan Precision products. Speaking of Spartan Precision products, don't try and say that too quick. You can also check out the Spartan Precision playlist, which Digital Josh has put together, right on our NIOA TV playlist channel. And how many videos are there? We've got
thousands.
About 9.
About thousands.
There's a lot of new products.
There are some new products.
Yeah,
We've
the
got
Hercules tripod, the Hoplite, the Vida, the Kratos.
the Springbok.
The Springbok.
And the Quad Springbok.
Yeah, Springbok Quad.
Definitely worth checking out. So visit the NIOA YouTube channel and check them out. Hey, Keithy, you were going to talk to us about CDS dials, and then you came up with even a better idea.
I did. I thought I might be able to get out of it and get one of my CDS dial experts in. So I've got Lachy, one of my optics techs, and I figured if we can get him in onto the bench.
Well, look, first of all, before we bring him in, just give us a quick overview about what a CDS dial is.
Yeah, so CDS is Custom Dial System by Leupold. Basically what it is, it's bullet drop compensation. So we map out the flight path of the bullet, and we can work out through the adjustments on the turret where that should be. So simply range your target, 400 metres, turn it to the 4.
We're not referring to the CDS dial that's already on the scope. You can redeem a free CDS dial to the caliber you are shooting just by contacting us.
Yes.
There you go.
Yes, it is. It is not the dial that's on there. Yep.
We've used this out at Madras at the Leupold range there, Brad, and it really is as simple as it's 100 metres, we turn it to the 1. Great. You want to shoot out at 700, just turn it to the 7.
Well, normally you 0 at 100, so you don't have to move it.
Well, you know what I'm saying.
I do know what you're saying. But yeah,
Don't
700,
tell you what.
800, 900, 1,000, some of us hit.
Yeah. And without further ado, I would like to introduce a real expert.
Oh, yes.
Lachy, come on in, buddy. Let's go. Right. Well, here we've got Lachy. We've dragged him out of the workshop. So, Lachy, take us through. I mean, we've obviously got the Leupold Custom Shop. We've got the Leupold Custom Shop website. So people can visit www.leupold.com.au and they can get their CDS dial ordered through there, can't they? Take us a bit through that.
Yeah, spot on. So the concept of the Australian website is to give a portal for you to easily order your dial with all the right information in one place. So basically you can have a browse of the custom shop side of things as well. If you ever have a warranty drama, one-stop shop there as well. But CDS style wise, you can plug in your details. So starting with the serial number of your scope and then working through your load data. So it is something you can come back to. You know, if you see something on the form and go, oh, okay, I don't actually know my velocity, but my mate at the range has a chronograph. I'm going there Saturday. Maybe I put some rounds over. You can easily come back to it in that next week and go again and get that data. But yeah, essentially once you've ordered your CDS dial from there, it'll send you through a confirmation. We'll get a copy of it here and we'll start making your dial and get it on the way to you.
And a lot of that information too can be found on the back of your ammunition packet too.
Yeah, spot on. So a lot of the information we capture is, we'd call it the basics and the ballistic side of things, but it's all common stuff nowadays. If you go back 20, 30 years, realistically, velocity was something you measured on the shoulder, not a chronograph, or, a box would never have that information. But really now all of that information is readily available. So a customer can put that together quite easily. Yeah,
and not only like current factory ammunition is made to such higher tolerances that velocity on it is a lot more stable. You could have been a bit hit and miss 20 years ago. I don't think it was made to the same tolerances. You could have been 50 or 100 feet per second out in certain calibers too.
Yeah, right.
So not nowadays though.
And so, Lachy, Keith's just given us a bit of an overview of what the CDS system is, but just take us through the process. Okay, I want to get a CDS dial. I've bought myself a new Leupold. It's a Leupold with a CDS dial. I want to get it burnt. What do I do?
So first things first, take the gun to the range, shoot it, sight yourself in with your normal dial on the scope. So basically set it at 0. That gets you your starting point for there. And that way, the moment the dial arrives, you can put it on and go straight for a hunt. There's no more mucking around.
So sighted at 100?
I personally recommend 100.
Yep.
It's up to personal preference. We'll make a dial to whatever you'd like. The reason I personally prefer 100 is it's a simple starting point and you're always dialing up from then out. It's around about the peak of your trajectory. Whereas if you start talking 200, 300, 400 meters, you start losing some features of CDS dial and you start complicating your zeroing process. So from there, once you've got all of that, the best thing that I would then do is then jump on the website, have a look at what information you're going to need. That'll give you a bit of an idea of, okay, is there something I'm missing? Do I need to go find the packet of ammo, that kind of thing? Then come back, sit down and go, okay, yep, my height over bore is this, plug it in, my velocity is this, get some information on your projectile. Obviously, if we can get a BC for your projectile, it's pretty common on every ammo box now, but there's still a couple out there.
We got asked a question last week in our visit to New South Wales. How much information is needed? Because he was saying that he can give you velocity, you know, height above the bore, all the details with the cartridge. But he said, is it going to be different when I take this firearm to New Zealand and hunt over there? I don't have the height above sea level, the atmospheric pressure. Will that alter my CDS adjustments at all when I go to New Zealand?
It will. The CDS dial is a snapshot of the data at that, we'll call it point in time to keep it simple. But let's say if we're talking shooting here in Brisbane, obviously not in the city, but let's say out on the plains 10 miles north, you're going to be shooting at sea level. You're going to be shooting in fairly high humidity. It's going to be pretty warm at the moment. If we go to New Zealand, let's say the South Island, it's going to be pretty steep hills. We're suddenly adding a lot of altitude. We're dropping our humidity right out of it. Our temperature's different. We are going to see a different ballistic environment. Now, realistically, out to 200, 300, 400, 500 meters, you're probably not going to notice that in the average shooter's experience.
That's the question we got asked.
Yeah, there'll actually be a lot more influence from things like wind and headwinds, tailwinds, thermal patterns in mountains, things like that, that'll be more of a factor. But the thing you can do there is compromise as well and go, okay, if I shoot New Zealand every year, for example, if I'm going over there for a hunt or, you know, high country Victoria, for example, down onto the plains again, if you pick somewhere halfway between, let's say, then you're probably going to be pretty close on both ends. But it ultimately comes down to how far you want to shoot and, you know, the necessity of your dial.
I suppose the other option is to have 2 or 3 different CDS dials made. You know, even for the same cartridge, but one for shooting here in 10 miles north of Brisbane. One for shooting in Victoria and one for shooting in New Zealand, providing you've got that information.
Yeah, if you spend 350 days of the year here and you spend 10 days in New Zealand on a hunt, well, maybe it's worth the extra, at the moment, $115 bucks to get a dial.
I was going to say, an extra dial just costs you about $115, eh?
Yep, spot on.
But let's think of what 10 days in New Zealand will cost you.
Exactly.
The cheapest part of the trip.
You know what? The moment you know it's worth it is when you're dialed onto a target the other side of a valley, you see it, and you know you can make that shot with confidence. Exactly right. Suddenly, that cost goes away.
So what are we seeing? You know, talking to people, there is a bit of confusion around CDS, but it really is quite a simple application, isn't it?
Yes, I think the hardest part and the most complicated part of a CDS dial is quite simply ordering it. That's the hardest thing. Once it's on the gun, life becomes so much more simple because what we're doing is taking complex ballistic equations, we're taking all these different environmental factors, we're taking the factor of your gun, and we're turning it into a simple number system where you simply turn it to the distance you want to shoot, aim, and pull the trigger. And it means instead of, you know, I know a lot of guys out there that do a lot of long-range hunting, for example, that's, you know, taking those ballistic factors to every extent. They're sitting there with a Kestrel, they've got a dope pad, they've got all sorts of different stuff there to work out their drop. They're then dialing it in MOA or mil, and they're taking the shot. So that's a very accurate process, but it takes a lot of time, it takes a lot of practice, and takes a lot of skill. Whereas with the CDS dial, any of us realistically, I mean, you guys have experienced it as well, quite straightforward. Once it's set up on the gun, it really is that simple. But in terms of getting that data together, it's as simple or as complex as you make it. Obviously, the better data we put in, the better ballistic result we are going to get out of it. But we're always on the other end of the phone. We're always keen to help you go through that data and have a chat with me, and we'll make it work for you.
And that's the thing. Our guys here at NIOA are very accessible. If you do have really difficult questions that you need answered in relation to the CDS style of things, please give us a call. They're always willing to chat. The other thing I wanted to bring up, apart from the CDS system, is the Leupold Custom Shop itself. Take us through some of the different things that were available. I mean, we've got reticle changes, we've got Cerakoting. There's all manner of different things that we can do. Take us through some of those.
Yeah, so we've got the option to retrofit various options to pretty much every model of Leupold scope. So be it original VX1, 2 or 3, all the way up to a new VX5, even your Mark 5. So there's a lot of different advantages to that in terms of what you can do as a customer, as well as to what you can achieve in terms of a really cool product. So, a real big ticket one is the Cerakoting. There's not any other brand of scope that currently can Cerakote your optic from factory effectively, properly.
It's funny you say that because there are plenty of cheaper versions of optics out there that guys get Cerakoted.
Yeah. So the difference between the Cerakoting that you see outside of Leupold in this case versus other brands is that we're tearing the whole scope completely apart. We're Cerakoting each individual componentry with a H series Cerakote, so it's much hardier. And then we're reassembling it again together. So all of the little nooks and crannies, all of your engravings no longer have to be sort of covered up with tape and painted around. We can re-laser them back on top. So it's a much cleaner, much more professional look, and it's hardier. So it's better in every way.
So all those other scopes are cold Cerakoted, are they?
Yeah, spot on. So C-series, but for things like your magnification ring, your dial, they'll put tape around it. So you're still in the case of this VX5, end up with black there. So we can do a really, really good, fantastic looking job of it. And I think we've got a couple of examples around we might be able to show, but yeah, really, really clean looking scopes in that sense. Otherwise, there's lots of things like the adjustments, the reticles that we can change, the other two that are really, really obvious. So let's say you've got, say, a Mark V, you've got it in, let's say, an older MOA reticle, and you want to go shoot some PRS. Well, the namesake of PRS nowadays is mil. You can now get Leupold's latest reticle in there, the correct adjustments that you need to match up with that for a fraction of the price of a new scope. You're talking thousands of dollars saved there from an older scope to a newer scope. Even second focal to front focal in that particular instance is possible.
That's awesome.
So there's a lot we can do there, or it might be as simple as retrofitting a CDS dial onto an older scope that you've had on your gun for 10, 20 years.
Can you do that?
Absolutely.
Yeah?
Yep.
Some of the older VX3s.
Yep.
Things like that.
Pretty much anything in Leupold's lineup we can make a CDS dial for or install an adjustment to suit on.
That's awesome.
Why would you buy any other scope?
That's right.
In Australia, you'd be
in
mad,
Australia,
wouldn't you?
100%.
Yep.
The services that Leupold have provided us here and that NIOA can undertake for the shooters here in Australia is phenomenal.
Yeah, and that key difference is that you can take a Leupold scope, this scope here, for example, in 20 years is going to be an old scope, but you can then go put the latest reticle in there, you can put a newer adjustment style in there, and you can bring it up to that modern spec, and it's covered by that lifetime warranty.
I was just going to say, let's talk about that warranty for a second.
Yep.
The best warranty, I saw in our latest ad, it's the warranty that'll outlive you and me.
Yeah.
So, you know what I mean?
We've seen, when we were over at the Leupold factory, we saw some absolutely decimated scopes, didn't we? They had this wall of scopes that had been in all manner of scopes that had been struck by lightning and all sorts of different things. It was
Ones they'd fished out of the bottom of creeks and dams and things like that. Yeah.
And to know that could go back and they'll give you a brand spanking new one, no questions asked.
Or we'll repair it.
Or rebuild
Or they
it.
rebuild
I think there's
it.
nothing more satisfying than getting a real old scope back that's clearly had a tough life on a farm somewhere, a lot of dust, the parts are literally faded from the sun, and you can get it working again beautifully and it goes out as crisp as it did from the factory. It's really good feeling.
Now, listen, I'm just keen to get your opinion on this, Lachy, because you mentioned it earlier before, but the PRS market. Now, I know that you're a very keen PRS shooter yourself. What are your thoughts on the new Leupold Mark IV HD?
I'm very excited for them. Yep. They've updated essentially the architecture of a Mark V is the easiest way to look at it. So really Leupold's flagship and quite expensive scope, if we're honest.
Yeah.
And they've basically not dumbed it down. That's not the right word for it, but they've simplified it a little bit in their manufacturing process so that we can now produce a scope that's as good and better than a Mark V on paper specs. It's got the same glass, if not better, and it's got more adjustment travel. It's simpler in every way. So you've got a 34mm main tube. So it's a ticket in every manner. So it's a very, very good product.
And parallax down to 25 yards for the
I was going to
that's a
say,
big one,
the parallax adjustment was ready to go.
Really going to suit the PRS rimfire guys.
Yeah, and same for NRL22. It means that you can run that scope on both your rifles now quite simply. And yeah, parallax for rimfire is crucial.
Mate, PRS, take us through a little bit about your involvement there, how you got into it, and what's your current rig that you're running?
So I'm obviously relatively young. I only got into shooting around the same time the young little Ruger Precision rimfire came out. And you know what? I thought that was a pretty cool gun at the time. I shot it a little bit around the farm and things like that at home, and I loved it. But I'm a very competitive person, and I saw a video one day of the Precision Rifle series, and I thought, you know what? That's really cool. Suddenly instead of just shooting at a paper target at 50 meters and going, yeah, it's a pretty good group. Yeah, it was a pretty good group. Yeah, it was a pretty good group. Suddenly you're pushing yourself a bit more. So I went out there green as anything and thought I'll give this a crack. I'll probably do pretty well because my gun shoots really nice. And It was a match at a place called Monado in South Australia, nice dust bowl, but really lovely place, great people. And yeah, I don't think I've ever had as much fun as I did the first time I went to the range there. It's a lot more of a challenging and dynamic discipline. And because the targets are quite small, it makes you push yourself a lot more than you think. You know the gun can do it. It's making yourself do it and making everything tick. You know, there's a lot more thinking that goes into it. So for me, I've never really liked just sitting down and shooting a group, you know, in terms of competition even. It's good fun, don't get me wrong, but PRS really pushes you in a different way than what you think, and your actual level of shooting across the board, not just in one format. I think your total rifle shooting altogether goes up a whole big level to match that competition.
And how do you find the community? And, you know, like I know most gun groups and places where you've been around, they've always been welcoming and very helpful. How have you found the PRS community?
I think polite and welcoming describes every community, but PRS it really is a family, particularly in Australia, and you see it in the US as well, but certainly in Australia, the PRS family around the country is really quite tight and strong. It's a lot more banter, a lot more, I'd call it a more fun environment than what you would typically see at the gun range. You know, yes, it's competitive. Yes, it gets serious when you start talking your big national level matches, but you're still going to have a little bit of banter on the stage. Guys, you know, the other thing too, if you go to a bench rest club, some clubs are really good for this, others aren't. You know, most guys won't like sharing information or giving advice or tips or things like that. If you can come off a PRS stage anywhere in this country and not have someone willing to give you advice within the first 3 seconds, I'll give you $50. It's, you know, it's a community where everyone wants everyone to do well.
It's like shotgun clubs and field and game. Everyone will tell you where you're going wrong.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, but
I'm just thinking of a way
different
of
way that they say
back.
it. Yeah.
Yeah, no, that's incredible, mate. And so, yeah, but you haven't told us what optic you're running.
I've got a Mark 5 HD at the moment.
There we go.
Yeah, that's the best option in Leupold's lineup until these Mark 4s get here, and then the Mark 5 might get a bit more dust for a little bit.
Oh, there we go. Well, that's exciting stuff. Well, mate, we really appreciate Keithy. You must be very proud of Lachy and where he's come from.
Absolutely.
in that workshop.
Yep, absolutely. No, Lachy just started as a bit of a gamble for us. Super duper keen. And we dragged him from one end of the country to the other to get him here, and couldn't be happier. Just an asset to NIOA. Yeah. No,
it's great. And I know, Brad, the feedback that we get from the customers.
Very positive.
Very positive.
Like I said, Lachy's always been, and Mick the same, you know, Mick Kineen, our other Leupold technician, both guys have been fantastic. We put a lot of phone calls. We get a lot of calls into our office regarding Leupolds. And we put them straight through to these guys, and these guys are nothing but accommodating. They're fantastic. And we get great reports from the consumers out there.
So well done, Lachy. But, mate, we got to get you back to work because someone's got to do some work around here, mate. So we'll catch you next time.
See you then.
Thanks, Lachy.
Listen, let me tell you something. There would not be a week go by where we don't get at least 1 million, possibly 2 million emails asking us about powder. And Brad, you have some news, which I believe our discerning audience will be very keen to hear.
Yes. And you might have got a inkling about what I was going to talk about early in the podcast.
Like when you said powder.
My powder dry, that's right. Yes, good news. We have some powder coming, albeit a small shipment.
It's not a big shipment.
It's not a big shipment. It's a small shipment, but it's better than any shipment we've had since 2020.
Well, in fairness, we've had no shipment since 2020.
That's what I was getting at, Matthew.
Right,
So,
okay, sorry.
Yeah, you stick to colouring in, I'll stick to sales. Yes, look.
Let's start that again.
Look, there is a nitro cellulose shortage. We all know that. It's worldwide. I don't think we felt the impacts of it yet.
Not yet.
But that will be coming. But I don't think we'll see another powder shipment this year. I don't think we'll see one next year either. But look, we were lucky enough to jag one. Look, the guys at Vista have been working hard to get me powder. It hasn't been easy for them either.
Big shout out to Steve.
Steve and Slinky. Slinky's
Meister.
Slink's a big part of that. All the guys at Vista really worked hard to get us some powder. We got it. It's on the way. Be here about middle of the year. Look, there's not a lot. We're trying to do it as fair as possible. We've divided up with our 4 sales reps. They'll distribute it as best they can. Look, the biggest issue we've got is domestic freight. We can't freight it logistically. It's a nightmare. We can't get any common carriers to distribute it around Australia. So
But we've got a way to do around it. We've got our own vehicle, which is
Correct.
licensed.
and we've got licensed drivers, so we'll get it around. Problem is it's not going to get to everywhere.
No, but I think what most people are wanting to know is that, yes, there is a shipment coming in.
Yes, correct.
And
there'll be pistol powder. There'll be rifle powder. Look, there's a lot of Reloader 7, 10X, stuff like that for the 223 shooters, you know.
All right. So, well, that's exciting news.
It is.
That really is, because it has been a long dry spell as people have been waiting for powder.
100%.
And for all you reloaders out there, get excited. Start, getting all primed and ready to go, because powder is coming. So, exciting times.
It is.
Well, boys, I think it's time we probably started to try to wrap this thing up. I'm just trying to think, what are we going to do for episode 3?
Do you think there will be an episode 3?
Well, look,
surely.
there's got to be. There can't, surely we're gaining some sort of audience. I don't know.
Well, I'm not.
Well,
Keith, maybe, but not me.
Well, no, I agree with that. But look, I don't know. What do we think we should do for the next one?
We'll get someone on.
We need a guest.
Need like a legend, like an icon.
Oh,
Someone that's going to bring the people.
Hang on
to
a second.
us.
Let me get my phone here. I'm just going to, hang on. Let me look under legend in my contact list here on the phone. Hang on, here we go.
Hey boys, how we doing?
Is this Toby Price, Dakar
Yes,
Rally
it is.
champion? It
That
is.
is it. How we doing, man?
Toby, it's Matt, it's
Keithy.
Brad, it's Keith.
Gee, we're on. Hey,
Here on the
Hey,
NIOA
boys.
Unloaded. I've delivered,
You
boys.
delivered,
I've
Matthew.
delivered. Hey, Toby, mate, we're doing a podcast. You want to be on the next one?
Mate, sign me up. I want to definitely come and have a chat with you boys about all things motorsport and a bit of long-range shooting stuff that I'm
Here
into.
we go.
now we are talking.
Righto, Toby. Well, mate, I'll get my people to talk to your people, and we'll see you on the next podcast of NIOA Unloaded.
Boys, looking forward to it. Can't wait.
Cheers, Toby.
Thanks, mate.
See you, buddy.
Cheers, boys.
Thanks,
Legends.
mate. So there you go, folks. Toby Price joining us for the next podcast. This is going to be exciting stuff. We look forward to seeing you next time on the NIOA Unloaded podcast.